All right, UPSC aspirants, get ready because today we are diving deep into India's shipbuilding ambitions.
It's a topic that's making waves not just in the economic sphere, but it could also show up on your mains exam.
Oh, absolutely, even prelims.
Definitely. We're going to break down why this is such a priority for the government right now.
And what it could mean for India's future, on that global stage.
What's really fascinating to me is that India isn't just aiming to build more ships.
Right.
They're looking to become a major player
Yeah.
in the global maritime arena,
Uh-huh.
competing with some of the big players.
The heavyweights?
Yeah, China, South Korea, Japan.
Right, it's ambitious.
It is.
So let's start with, the basics. Like, why is the government pushing this shipbuilding strategy so aggressively right now?
Well, there's some really compelling reasons, both economic and strategic.
Okay.
Firstly, a strong shipbuilding industry can create a ton of jobs,
Yeah.
not just in the shipyards themselves,
Right.
but also in all those related industries. Think about steel production logistics, the whole supply chain.
All outlook, yeah.
And this is particularly important for a country like India.
Huge workforce.
Yeah, exactly, with a large and growing workforce.
So boosting employment, stimulating economic growth.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. What about the strategic angle, though?
So India has a massive coastline to protect
Right.
and very expensive maritime trade routes to secure.
Mhm.
Strengthening the shipbuilding industry means India can build its own warships, its own submarines, other naval vessels,
Right.
reducing its reliance on foreign suppliers and enhancing its maritime defense capabilities.
So it ties in with that Atmanirbhar or self-reliant India.
Exactly. It's a key component of that initiative.
Okay, so we've got the economic and strategic motivations down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this strategy.
Sure.
Those recent union budget announcements.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of buzz about the investment plan.
Huge investment.
Huge, right?
The government has allocated a whopping Rs 25,000 crore
Okay.
for a Maritime Development Fund.
Wow. And for people who don't think in rupees,
That's over $3 billion US dollars.
$3 billion, that's a serious statement.
Yeah, it's a clear signal that the government is serious about supporting the shipbuilding industry.
Long-term commitment.
Exactly, long term.
So how does this fund actually work?
It's designed to be a collaborative effort.
Okay.
The government's putting in 49% of the funds,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking to ports and private investors to contribute the remaining 51%.
Interesting. So it's a public-private partnership.
Yeah.
That's pretty crucial for making sure that this is sustainable, right?
Absolutely. It's about creating a sustainable ecosystem for the industry.
And what about the revamped Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Policy, or SBFAP as they call it?
Right, the SBFAP.
How does that fit in?
So the SBFAP is designed to tackle those cost disadvantages
Okay.
that Indian shipbuilders face when they're up against international competition. It provides a bunch of incentives.
Like what?
Well, one example is credit notes for shipbreaking at Indian yards.
Interesting.
This can really make a difference in terms of making Indian shipbuilding more cost competitive.
It's about leveling the playing field, making sure Indian companies can compete
Exactly.
on a global scale. And it didn't stop there, right? The budget also had some pretty hefty tax breaks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And this is where things get really interesting for UPSC aspirants.
Okay, let's hear it.
The budget includes a fixed-rate subsidy for shipbuilding for the next 10 years.
Wow, so that provides some certainty.
Huge certainty for shipbuilders,
Yeah.
allowing them to plan for the long term without worrying about those fluctuating subsidy rates.
Stability.
Stability, predictability.
That's got to be a relief.
Big relief.
What other tax incentives should our listeners be aware of?
Okay, so we've got an extension of the exemption on basic customs duty on raw materials and components for another 10 years.
Okay, so that's going to lower input costs,
Exactly, makes their products more competitive.
both domestically and internationally.
Mm-hmm. And there's more. The tonnage tax scheme, which was already in place for ocean-going vessels, is being extended to include the inland water transport sector.
Hold on, break that down for our listeners.
Okay, so instead of being taxed on their profits, shipping companies operating on those inland waterways
Right.
will now be taxed based on the carrying capacity of their vessels.
Okay.
This can be a really significant advantage, particularly for smaller companies operating on rivers and canals.
So we're talking about boosting not just large-scale shipbuilding, but also promoting that river and canal transport,
Exactly.
which is a key part of India's logistics network.
Absolutely.
This connects to your GS3 syllabus, folks. Infrastructure development and regional connectivity.
It's all connected.
It is all connected. And while we're talking about connecting the dots, let's move on to another big announcement.
Okay.
Digitalization and infrastructure.
Sounds good.
The budget emphasized some quote-unquote smart initiatives, right?
It did.
So tell us about those.
All right, so three key initiatives worth highlighting. The first one is the PM Gati Shakti initiative,
Okay.
which is all about improving connectivity and infrastructure across the country.
Right.
This will have a direct impact on shipbuilding
How so?
by streamlining the transportation of materials and finished ships.
So it's about tackling those logistical bottlenecks.
Exactly, making the whole process more efficient.
What's the second initiative?
The National Digital Repository for Knowledge Sharing in the Maritime Industry.
Okay, so like a big online library.
Think of it as a massive online library specifically for the maritime sector.
Gotcha.
Where professionals, researchers, academics can share information and best practices.
So that's going to help accelerate innovation.
Exactly, and skill development within the industry.
The final initiative.
The Digital Public Infrastructure Initiative under Bharat TradeNet.
Okay, so what does that do?
This one's all about streamlining trade facilitation,
Okay.
making it easier for shipbuilding companies to navigate the complexities of import and export procedures.
Less paperwork, faster clearances, more transparent system.
Exactly.
And that connects directly to GS3 studies on e-governance and the digital economy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
You have.
Financial support, tax incentives, and a push for digitalization and infrastructure development. It sounds pretty comprehensive on paper.
It does.
But I have a feeling it's not all smooth sailing from here.
You're right. There are some significant challenges that India needs to overcome
Okay.
if it wants to realize its shipbuilding ambitions.
And understanding these challenges is crucial for any UPSC aspirant
Absolutely.
hoping to ace those mains questions.
For sure.
So let's dive into those challenges.
Okay.
What are the major hurdles India needs to address?
Well, one of the biggest challenges facing the global shipbuilding industry, and India is no exception, is the issue of supply chain disruptions.
Yeah, we saw how the pandemic
Exact.
and recent geopolitical tensions really exposed the vulnerabilities of relying too heavily on certain countries
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
for critical components. So supply chain resilience is a hot topic these days.
Very hot topic.
So how can India address this in the context of shipbuilding?
This is where the Atmanirbhar Bharat vision becomes even more important.
Okay.
India needs to focus on strengthening its domestic manufacturing capabilities
Right.
and diversifying its sources for key shipbuilding components.
So reduce that dependence on a single supplier
Exactly.
for things like engines, propellers, specialized steel.
All of those things.
Makes sense. Spread the risk, build a more resilient supply chain.
Exactly.
What other challenges are we looking at?
Another major challenge, and this is a global one,
Okay.
is the push for greener shipbuilding practices.
Right.
The International Maritime Organization, or IMO, has set some really stringent environmental regulations aimed at reducing emissions from the shipping industry.
Right.
India needs to be proactive in adopting these green technologies.
If it wants to stay competitive. So it's not just about building more ships, it's about building them in a way that's environmentally sustainable.
It is.
What kind of green technologies are we talking about here?
There's a whole range of innovations happening.
Yeah.
Think LNG-powered vessels,
Okay.
which emit significantly less carbon dioxide than traditional fuel oil-powered ships.
Okay.
Then you've got hydrogen fuel cells and electric propulsion systems,
Wow.
which are even cleaner
Really?
and more sustainable options.
So a lot of potential for technological leapfrogging in the industry.
Huge potential.
UPSC aspirants, make sure you're familiar with these keywords. LNG, hydrogen fuel cells, electric propulsion. They're likely to show up in your prelims or even mains exams.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technology itself. It's also about integrating sustainable practices throughout the entire life cycle of a ship.
Oh, okay.
From using eco-friendly materials during construction to responsible recycling at the end of a ship's life.
So a holistic approach.
Holistic approach to minimizing the environmental impact.
Okay, we've got supply chain resilience. We've got green shipbuilding.
Yeah.
Anything else we should be aware of?
One more crucial challenge is the skills gap.
Ah, yes, the workforce.
Yeah, India needs a highly skilled workforce to support this ambitious plan.
Right.
We're talking about skilled professionals in areas like naval architecture, marine engineering, welding, fabrications, and even specialized areas like automation and robotics.
And this ties in with the whole issue of unemployment and skill development.
Yeah,
A perennial topic in your GS2 and GS3 syllabus.
absolutely.
So what can be done to address this skills gap in the context of shipbuilding?
Well, the government's already launched some good initiatives.
Like what?
Like the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, or PMKVY,
Right.
aimed at equipping the workforce with relevant skills.
Right.
But we need
More targeted, right?
more specialized training programs
Okay.
tailored specifically to the shipbuilding industry.
Mm-hmm.
This could involve collaborations between industry and technical institutions, apprenticeship programs, even attracting skilled professionals from overseas.
So a multi-pronged approach is needed,
Absolutely.
from upskilling the existing workforce to attracting new talent.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about the why, the economic and strategic motivations. We've discussed how the budget allocations, digitalization, green technologies.
Okay.
But let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
Big picture.
Hmm?
Why should all of this matter to our listeners,
Right.
the aspiring UPSC candidates?
This shipbuilding strategy is a perfect example of how policy decisions in one sector can have a ripple effect across multiple domains.
Oh, that's interesting.
This is exactly the kind of integrated thinking that the UPSC exam demands.
So give us some specific examples of how this shipbuilding push could impact other areas.
Think about it this way. A thriving shipbuilding industry doesn't just create jobs and boost economic growth.
Right.
It also strengthens India's maritime defense capabilities, reduces reliance on foreign suppliers. Yeah.
And enhances India's strategic position in the Indo-Pacific region.
So we're talking economic growth, national security, even foreign policy implications, all stemming from this effort to boost shipbuilding.
It's all interconnected.
It's all connected. And for our listeners, it's not just about understanding the individual pieces, it's about connecting those dots.
Exactly.
Seeing the bigger picture,
Yeah.
analyzing the potential impact of these policies.
That's what separates the average UPSC aspirant from the topper.
So our listeners need to go beyond just memorizing facts and figures
They do?
about the shipbuilding policy. They need to be able to analyze its implications
Absolutely.
for a whole range of issues.
For sure.
And they need to be able to articulate these connections clearly
Yeah.
in their prelims answers and their mains essays.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've laid out the broad framework.
We have.
Now let's delve into some of the specifics.
Okay.
India is actively seeking collaborations with global shipbuilding giants.
They are.
Tell us about those international partnerships. Okay, so India is taking a multi-pronged approach to learning from the best in the business. Recently, a high-level delegation from Hanwha Ocean Co. Ltd. of South Korea visited India
Okay.
to explore potential collaborations with major Indian shipyards, like Cochin Shipyard Ltd. And Hindustan Shipyard Ltd.
So India is looking to learn from South Korea,
Yeah,
a country known for its advanced shipbuilding technologies.
absolutely. And efficient production processes.
And it's not just South Korea, right?
Yeah.
India is also looking towards Japan for collaboration.
Yeah, Indian officials have been visiting leading Japanese shipyards.
To study their operational models.
Exactly. And technological advancements.
So India is being proactive learning from global leaders, forging those strategic partnerships.
They are.
But what about the domestic front? What's happening within India to boost the industry?
So one key initiative is the development of dedicated shipbuilding clusters.
Okay.
In states like Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, and Odisha,
What's the thinking behind those clusters?
the goal is to create a synergistic ecosystem
Okay.
that fosters collaboration, knowledge sharing, and technological advancements.
So bringing all the key players together in one location,
Exactly.
accelerate innovation, reduce costs, and attract investment.
And hopefully attract foreign investment as well.
Right, because foreign companies are going to be drawn to those clusters
Absolutely.
because of that ready-made ecosystem, skilled labor, established infrastructure.
Supportive policy environment.
So a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Attracting investment, boosting domestic manufacturing, and creating new jobs.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it all comes down to execution.
Mm-hmm.
And a key part of that is having a skilled workforce.
You're absolutely right. We talked about the skills gap earlier,
Yeah.
but it's worth emphasizing again because it's absolutely crucial.
We need that skilled workforce.
India needs to invest heavily in training and skill development programs
Yeah.
to make sure that it has the workforce necessary to support this ambitious plan.
So we talked about some broader skill development initiatives.
We did.
But what about specific skills needed for shipbuilding? What kind of training are we talking about?
We need specialized training programs
Okay.
in areas like naval architecture, marine engineering, welding, fabrication, and even areas like automation and robotics.
Okay.
This could involve partnerships between industry and technical institutions, apprenticeship programs, even attracting skilled professionals from overseas.
So again, that multi-pronged approach,
Absolutely.
upskilling the existing workforce, attracting new talent.
Exactly.
And this ties back to the economic benefits
It does.
that we discussed earlier. A thriving shipbuilding industry can generate a significant number of direct and indirect jobs.
Lots of jobs, from shipyard workers to engineers, designers, supply chain professionals. The impact on employment is substantial.
And it's not just about the number of jobs.
No.
It's about the quality of those jobs as well.
Absolute.
Skilled, well-paying jobs that can uplift communities and contribute to overall economic development.
For sure.
So this shipbuilding strategy has the potential to be a major driver of economic growth
It does.
and job creation. But let's not forget the strategic implications.
Very important.
Strengthening domestic shipbuilding capabilities is vital for national security.
It is.
By building its own warships, submarines, other naval vessels,
Yeah.
India can reduce its reliance on foreign suppliers and enhance its maritime defense capability.
Absolutely.
And that aligns with the Atmanirbhar vision.
Mm-hmm.
Self-reliance in critical sectors like defense.
Exactly.
It gives India greater control over its maritime destiny.
It does.
So this shipbuilding strategy isn't just about economics. It's about national security
Yeah.
and strategic autonomy.
It is.
It's a comprehensive approach
It is.
that aims to position India as a major maritime power.
A major player on the global stage.
And that's where it becomes so relevant for UPSC aspirants.
For sure.
You need to be able to analyze these interconnected aspects,
Absolutely.
understand the motivations behind the policy,
Mm-hmm.
and articulate its potential impact on various sectors.
That's the key.
It's about connecting those dots, seeing the bigger picture, and demonstrating a nuanced understanding.
Exactly.
Okay, we covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Economic benefits, strategic implications, global collaborations, domestic initiatives,
Yep.
and the importance of skill development.
Sure.
But there's one more crucial aspect we need to address.
Okay, what's that?
The environmental impact.
Oh, absolutely crucial. The maritime industry is a significant contributor to global greenhouse gas emissions.
Right.
India's shipbuilding strategy needs to incorporate sustainability as a core principle.
So it's not just about building more ships, but building them in a way that minimizes their environmental footprint.
Exactly.
So tell us more about this concept